So my name is Lillian. I am the current manager of the Advanced Cyber Threats team at Verizon Media. Verizon Media is a company that holds a lot of various media brands, the best known ones being Yahoo, AOL, and Huffington Post. We also own Built by Girls, TechCrunch, and Maker's Brand, which is a feminist brand. To give you a little bit of insight into myself, I am a graduate of the Georgetown School of Foreign Service, Go Hoyas, where I got a bachelor's of science in foreign service. I graduated right after 9/11. And so one of the things that was very important at the time was this concept of service. And so I went into the US government. I became a special agent with the Naval Criminal Investigative Service, NCIS. You may recognize it from the TV show. Before anyone asks, it's just like that, but cooler. I served at NCIS for about 8 years. I was a cyber agent. I worked across the globe. I spent a year in the Middle East, and then I also spent 3 years in Asia, and I worked at the FBI. I worked at the FBI National Cyber Investigative Joint Task Force, as well as the FBI Asia Cyber Operations Division. So in 2016, I joined what then was the Yahoo Paranoids. We are now the Verizon Media Paranoids. And we're the cybersecurity team for all of our brands at Verizon Media. In addition to all the things I've done in my career, I also became a mom. I'm the mom of a lovely 2-year-old who is very sassy and has a lot of opinions. But also other parts of my identity. I'm a woman in technology and I'm a woman in security. This is very important to me. Women make up 50% of the population, but they only make up about 25% of the workforce when it comes to technology jobs. And then in cybersecurity, they make up even less. This is a significant problem that needs to be changed. We need to diversify and we need to make sure that these perspectives are being heard. Diversity is a national security imperative. We currently face dedicated human adversaries, and if we only have one perspective at the table trying to defend against these, we'll not be able to see the novel or innovative techniques that our adversaries are using against us. We will not be able to defend against anything new or anything diverse that is on the horizon. So, we're here today to talk about disinformation. And what is disinformation? So, disinformation is not new. It has been used since honestly the invention of the printing press. We've heard it in many other types of coded terms, propaganda or misinformation. That's been around since any kind of social media, print, books, newspapers, magazines have been there. It just isn't at our fingertips like it is now with social media and the access to social media. So, what do we mean when we talk about disinformation? There's a couple of different types of things that could be considered disinformation. So, number one, it could be something that is commonly referred to as misinformation. This is false information that's oftentimes spread by just regular people, regardless of whether there is intent to mislead or not. This is basically, not fact checking before you repost something on a Facebook or a Twitter or an Instagram. That's kind of misinformation there. Disinformation is generally with malicious intent. It's false, it's deliberately spread, and it's created to harm a person or group or an organization. This type of activity is generally done by very sophisticated organized actors and what falls into that category, but often foreign governments. And so that's where the concept of this propaganda falls in as well. Malinformation is just information that's based on reality, but is used to inflict harm on a person, a social group, or organization. This is like rumors spreading false rumors there. And so if you take a step back and think about how that affects you in your personal life, you've probably come across all of these different aspects of different disinformation. Like I said earlier, disinformation is not new. It's new to us because it became a very prevalent tactic that we observed in the past, 5 years since 2016. And so it's become top of mind. But honestly, this is a tactic that has been used by government-backed attackers and other groups and types of folks to influence. And it's been done for many, many centuries. We're going to start by having a discussion about something that you likely encounter in your day-to-day life. We're going to talk about spam versus spear phishing. So, spam is unsolicited, usually commercial messages, emails, text messages, internet postings sent to a large number of recipients or posted in a large number of places. It's really indiscriminate. Generally, it's like a very long alphabetical list of like all of the users on a particular platform. Now, the concept that I want to talk to you guys about is something called spear phishing. So, spear phishing is an email or electronic communication scam that is targeted towards specific individuals, organizations, or businesses. The point of this is that it's very targeted. It means that these adversaries are trying to get to these particular users directly. They often are intended to steal data for malicious purposes or install malware on that targeted user's computer. Why this is important and why this is something that every woman should be concerned about is, generally speaking, women are the victims of cybercrime at a much higher rate. These are tactics that are used to get to women. Um, Women are 26% more likely than men to experience identity theft. There's a breadth of cybercrime that only honestly hits women disproportionately. So things like non consensual pornography, cyber stalking, cyberbullying, these tend to be crimes that disproportionately affect women. And so, therefore, we need to give girls and women the tools to protect themselves from these types of attacks. One of the things that I do want to talk to folks about is you don't need to be an engineer or a developer to tackle this disinformation problem and to spot it. All it takes is an emphasis on your analytical rigor and a healthy skepticism of the content that you observe and consume online. Disinformation is intended to provoke a reaction. The actors that are perpetuating this are trying to create divisions with this type of content. And so they're trying to pick issues that will evoke a really strong reaction. So, for example, if you're cruising a page online and you see something that invokes a gut check, like an internal, ooh, that doesn't feel good, take a step back, apply your analytical skills, ask yourself, why is this invoking this reaction? And what are the motivations of the person posting this? Is this information actually factual? And to be able to assess that factual basis of that information, lean on your trusted sources. Make sure you're using, one of the ones that I recommend is your local library when things open back up on COVID. You can always go back. Information online oftentimes can propagate unsubstantiated, whereas a lot of printed information has to go through a lot of rigor. And so that is oftentimes a really good source to always fall back on. You can always make sure that you're falling back on trusted media sources as well.